When you build your own large language model that's running on your machine, you get to customize it however you want. You get to tell it how it talks to you. This basically allows you to ensure that environment is tailored, custom tailored by you and with what you want it to do and nothing else. Hi, I'm Hafez with Beyond the Byte. And have you ever thought about building your own large language model? Your own ChatGPT, basically. With privacy concerns, ethical considerations, and even the thrill of innovation, creating your own personal large language model might just be the smartest move in AI today. So today we're going to explore why more people are actually building their own custom AI models and how you can do the same. ChatGPT is, of course, OpenAI's large language model. There are other large language models out there. You've heard of them: Gemini, Claude, Perplexity. But what you can actually do is build your own that runs on your own machine. These are open source libraries that you can actually download from places like Hugging Face and GitHub. And what they allow you to do, these algorithms, they allow you to basically run these same algorithms using the compute on your own machine, essentially allowing you to build your own custom GPT, your own LLM, as we call it. And this is a really great option because then you get to train it on your own data. You get to train it on how you want it to respond and interact with you. So it's not this pre-trained thing that's OpenAI's model, how they train it. You're also not using a public resource. So it really allows you to play with it, experiment with it. It's also one of the best ways that you can learn how an LLM actually works and what you can do with it. It's also really cool because there's some customization features that you can do to make it really your own LLM that responds to you and knows your data, that's trained on the data you want to train it on, and not outside sources of data that you have no control over. So building your own large language model, running it on your own machine, is not just something that will help you solve ethical concerns in data. It's not going to just allow you to have your own model to run on your machine. It's also going to be a fun experiment that gets you to play with these large language models in a fun, innovative way and gets you to really dive deep into how they work, how they function, how they're trained, and maybe even help you come up with the next business idea or next innovation, next poem, next book that you're writing. It's a great personal AI companion that's trained by you and customized by you on your machine. Another thing that's really great about building your own large language model or your own GPT is that you are in control of the data that it is fed, that it's using, and the data that you want to train it on. So that being said, a lot of these models, for example, Llama is one of the famous ones. Llama has an open source model, 3.1. There's another one, 3.2. They come with different parameters, amount of parameters. That's basically how much they're trained on. So if you look at some of the light parameter models of Llama, for example, Llama 3.1 or 3.2 1B or 7B, 8B, those models are essentially, they are ready for you to customize and train however you want. This is great because it lets you feed it data that might be proprietary. It might be data that you don't want public. You don't want to train a public model like OpenAI's ChatGPT on this data, all sorts of ethical concerns. If you have business ideas that you're worried having these models learn from, you can skirt all of that by having your own model running on your own machine. Now, the only downside of doing that is that these models are compute heavy. They require compute resources. That's one of the big things about the big models, is that they have a lot of compute behind them. It's why they're able to do all of the stuff that's really cool. Gemini and ChatGPT and Claude have a lot of compute behind them, and that's essentially what you're paying for. When you run a model on your own machine, any compute is going to be done on your own machine. So if you have a fast CPU, that'll help. If you have a really good GPU, a graphics processor like an NVIDIA chip, that will help even more. It'll give you more firepower on your computer to be able to get that model to have the performance that you would like. That being said, you can run these light models on your own machine, even if the machine is not very beefy. It might be a little bit slow and you might not be able to do as much with it, but don't forget, as you build your own model and train it on your own data and customize it, if it gets bigger and requires more compute, there's no reason why you can't take that locally run model and move it to a different, more powerful machine and continue to have your own custom built AI assistant that you have. And this, of course, is great for creative experimentation. It's great for you to build it as a project. This is really the new project to build at home that allows you to learn about this powerful technology and how you can utilize it yourself. It's also just fun. It's a fun experiment to do. And it's as simple as going to some of the open source libraries, downloading the actual models themselves, and then running them locally on the machine. We're going to be releasing a guide on how to do this because it does require a little bit of chops, a little bit of coding, small amount of coding, but it's actually not that hard. And once you run through it, you'll be happy that you did. So we'll be putting out that guide, but you can also go and search how to build your own large language model. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but highly recommend that you experiment with it. It will just give you a lot of fun and flexibility and skirt any ethical issues with data that you might have and privacy, for example. So this is why it's great to do that. So some of the fun possible use cases is when you build your own large language model that's running on your machine, you get to customize it however you want. You get to tell it how it talks to you. So for example, if you are somebody who just wants to play with it to help you with your board gaming, with your Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, a very, very specific, you can have it so that that large language model speaks in a particular way. It knows that that's its purpose. It is essentially trained and programmed to do nothing else other than to help you run these campaigns. If you want to start training it on your personal writing style, let's say you are a writer and you're writing a book or you're writing poetry and you wanted to learn from you about how you write your book and how you write your poetry or what kind of ideas you like to write about, you can essentially train it on only that. And then you'll know it won't be pulling from information that it's been pre-trained on from other places. It's pulling from the information that you've trained it on, which allows it to be custom made for you. The use cases are as varied as there are human activities to do. Think of it as a fun little AI companion that you get to tell it, I want you to help me do A, B, and C, and I'm going to give you that information. And even more, that information, more often than not, is personal information. It's things that are personal to you, your ideas, your writing style, your own experiment that you're playing with. This is basically allows you to ensure that environment is tailored, custom tailored by you and with what you want it to do and nothing else. It's a fun way to experiment. It's a fun way to expand your skills in programming and in machine learning and learning a little bit of code. And don't forget, you can use some of these models to help you with coding as well. So there are a lot of benefits in privacy, in ethics, the fact that you can customize it. This is a great way to get you started with how AI can help you with your specific use cases. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode, where we'll be talking about more about how you can use AI in professional and personal life and what you can do with it, the wonderful things that will help you achieve in your workflows and in your own everyday endeavors.